What in the world is going on in Antarctica? Is there an ancient civilization buried beneath the ice? Are there secret Nazi bases? And is the frigid continent constantly being visited by extraterrestrials? I'll be getting into these questions and more mysteries in today's video, so if that sounds interesting to you, don't go anywhere. The Lost Civilization of Antarctica. Antarctica, a frozen wasteland of mystery, or the ancient homeland of a lost civilization. The continent's harsh climate and thick ice have made it almost impossible for explorers and archaeologists to dig up any clues. But what if there was once a thriving ancient civilization down there? Now let's put on our detective hats and dive into this chilly mystery. Before we get into anything else, have you heard of the Piri Reis map? It's like the Where's Waldo of ancient cartography. Drawn in 1515 by Ottoman sailor Piri Reis, this map shows a surprisingly accurate coastline of South America. But here's where it gets weird. It also hints at a landmass where Antarctica should be, and it's completely ice-free. So did Piri Reis stumble upon some ancient Google Earth, or did he use some sort of super-secret ancient map? Conspiracy theorists think this is proof that an advanced civilization knew of Antarctica before it got its icy makeover. But let's get real for a second. Scientists think that the Piri Reis map isn't showing an actual ice-free Antarctica. Back in the day, people believed there had to be a southern continent to balance out the world, and Piri Reis was just following the trend. Plus, ice core research shows that Antarctica has been frozen solid for about 15 million years, long before humans were even a thing. So, unless our ancient ancestors were superhuman ice sculptors, the idea of them chilling, literally, in Antarctica is a bit of a stretch. But wait, there's more. In 2016, a pyramid-shaped mountain in Antarctica went viral. People were buzzing about how it must be a relic of an ancient civilization, or that maybe it was even built by aliens, because why not? Scientists, though, were quick to burst that bubble. They explained that the pyramid shape is just the result of freeze-thaw erosion. Basically, water gets into the cracks, freezes, expands, and breaks the rock. It's like nature's way of playing Jenga. Some folks aren't ready to let go of the pyramid theories, though. They point to satellite images showing strange anomalies and claim that these are the remains of ancient structures. But scientists say these are likely just subglacial lakes or unusual ice formations. Deep penetrating radar, which can see through the ice, hasn't found anything to support the idea of ancient civilizations. So, unfortunately, it's probably just ice doing its weird ice things. There are also some old stories and records about mysterious lands beyond the known world. Could these tales have been talking about Antarctica? Maybe, but most historians think these stories are about places like Australia or Oceania. It's like thinking every mystery is about the Bermuda Triangle, when sometimes it's just a missing sock. So, is there an ancient civilization hidden under Antarctica's ice? Probably not. But the idea sure makes for a cool, pun intended, story. Scientists are still learning about this frozen continent, but for now it seems like the mysteries of Antarctica are more about ice and less about ancient cities. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll discover something mind-blowing. Until then, though, stay curious and be sure to keep those detective hats on. Secret Nazi base. The world's chilliest continent is home to penguins, endless ice, and secret Nazi bases. That's right, one of the wildest and most persistent conspiracy theories is that the Nazis built a hidden base in Antarctica after World War II. But is there any truth to this frosty tale? The rumors began with a 1938 to 1939 Nazi expedition to a region of Antarctica known as Dronning Maudland. This trip on the ship Schwabenland has sparked imaginations, with some suggesting it was a scouting mission for a hidden base. Fast forward to 1945, and 2 German U-boats showed up in Argentina months after Germany surrendered. Conspiracy theorists went wild, claiming these subs were carrying supplies and Nazi officials, maybe even Hitler himself, to a secret Antarctic hideout. And to top it off, during the Nuremberg trials, German naval commander Karl Donitz supposedly mentioned an invulnerable fortress, a paradise-like oasis in the middle of eternal ice. Things got even more bizarre with Operation Tabarin, which took place between 1943 and 1945. This was a British Antarctic mission that some believe was spying on hidden Nazi operations. And don't forget Operation High Jump, a mid-1940s US mission that conspiracy buffs claim was really about taking down the Nazi Antarctic base. According to some, the US military even had a showdown with Nazi forces who were supposedly using UFO technology. Admiral Byrd, who led Operation High Jump, allegedly mentioned flying saucers in his reports, adding fuel to the conspiracy fire. But let's cool down and look at the facts. In 2007, a peer-reviewed academic paper in Polar Record titled Hitler's Antarctic Base, the Myth and the Reality put this story on ice for good. The 1938 to 1939 Nazi expedition wasn't about building a secret base. It was an exploratory mission to establish a whaling station spurred by territorial claims from Great Britain and Norway. And the U-boats that appeared in Argentina in 1945 weren't heading to Antarctica. They fled there after hearing about Germany's defeat. As for Operation Tabarin and Operation High Jump, they had nothing to do with Nazi bases. There were no hidden fortresses, no battles with renegade Nazis, and no flying saucers. The supposed UFO comments by Admiral Byrd were actually a mistranslation of a Chilean newspaper article. In it, he warned about enemy planes flying over the poles to attack the US. So, was there a secret Nazi base in Antarctica? Nope. At least that's the official story that the media and world governments are sticking to. The Nazis' presence in Antarctic waters was brief and never went beyond the Schwabenland's whaling expedition. This icy tale of hidden bases and UFOs might make for an entertaining story, but sadly it's nothing more than a frosty conspiracy theory. And now for number 9, but first it's shout-out time. Big thank you to Sarah the Boldy for your generous super thanks. Subscribe to join the Origins Explained family. UFO sightings. Alright, imagine you're scrolling through Google Maps checking out the frozen wonderland of Antarctica when, bam, you spot a UFO. Well, that's exactly what happened to UFO expert Scott Waring, who claims to have found a triangular alien aircraft buried underneath the Antarctic ice. So, what did Scott Waring find? While virtually exploring Antarctica on Google Maps, Waring came across an object partially buried in snow and ice. This wasn't your average ice cube, though. According to Waring, the object looked like a metallic triangular alien vessel with a hump in the middle. What in the world? Or should I say out of this world? Waring, who runs the ET database, noted that this strange object resembled a TR-3B. A TR-3B is an experimental aircraft that was supposedly developed by the US Air Force. The TR-3B is said to use anti-gravity technology to fly, although officially it doesn't exist. But hey, conspiracy theorists love a good mystery. Waring even suggested that the area around the alleged vessel might have been an ancient alien base. Imagine that, an extraterrestrial hideout in the middle of nowhere. I guess the Nazis weren't interested in setting up shop on the frigid continent, but maybe aliens were. So what's the story behind this mysterious triangle? According to Waring, it's been there for a long time. He believes that global warming has caused the ice covering the object to melt, revealing the alien craft beneath. He's convinced this is 100% proof that aliens have been hanging out on Earth way before humans started building cities. But hang on, let's take a step back and ask, could this really be an alien spaceship? Or is it just another case of pareidolia, where our brains trick us into seeing familiar shapes in random patterns? While it's fun to imagine aliens chilling in an Antarctic ice fort, scientists and skeptics suggest that this craft might just be a naturally occurring ice formation, or even a trick of light and shadow in the satellite images. But isn't that always their explanation for things like this? What if they're just covering something up? It's definitely possible. Regardless, the idea of a hidden alien spaceship in Antarctica is pretty entertaining. Whether you're a believer in extraterrestrial life or just love a good conspiracy theory, Waring's discovery deepens the mystery of the already enigmatic continent. Plus, it gives us all an excuse to spend hours on Google Maps searching for UFOs. I mean, I didn't really need an excuse. I did this already, but anyways. The next time you're bored and want to explore the world without leaving your couch, remember that there might be more out there than meets the eye. And if you find anything out of the ordinary or downright extraterrestrial, be sure to tell me all about it in the comments. Madness at the end of the Earth. Some people just can't hang in the most remote place on Earth. They either go missing or they go absolutely mad. Welcome to Antarctica, where the cold isn't the only thing that'll give you chills. Picture this. It's August 16th, 1897, and over 20,000 people gathered at the Antwerp waterfront to bid farewell to the Belgica. This was a 3-mast whale ship embarking on a daring mission to the uncharted waters of Antarctica. Leading the charge was 31-year-old Adrien de Gerlache. It all sounds pretty exciting, right? Well, things got icy real fast. Literally. 7 months later, the Belgica was stuck in the Bellingshausen Seas pack ice, and its crew was doomed to endure their first ever Antarctic winter. Imagine 70 days of complete darkness. No sun, no warmth, and no way to leave the ship for fear of getting lost forever. It's no wonder their bodies and minds started breaking down. Dr. Frederick Cook, the American surgeon on board, described it as a madhouse, with murder, starvation, insanity, and icy death becoming regular mental pictures. But how bad did it really get? Well, take Jan van Mierlo's story, for example. He was a young Belgian sailor who handed a note to the second engineer one morning. In it, he claimed that he couldn't hear and he couldn't speak. At first, they thought it was a joke, but after examining him, Dr. Cook found nothing wrong with his ears or vocal cords. The problem was with his mind. Van Mierlo was having a hysterical crisis. Though he recovered his speech and hearing within a week, he was never quite the same. Among the first things he said was that he planned to murder his superior, Henri Summers. Yeesh. Van Mierlo wasn't the only one unraveling. Another sailor, Adam Tollefsen, experienced severe paranoia. This Norwegian bosun, who had been performing his duties with skill and intelligence, started showing signs of insanity. He couldn't remember boarding the ship and became suspicious of his crewmates. In fact, he believed they were all out to get him. He even started sleeping in the freezing hold among the rats to avoid others. So what was it about Antarctica that drove these men mad? The relentless cold and darkness disrupted their bodies' natural rhythms, and the isolation and confinement took a toll on their mental health. The Belgica's captain, Georges Lecointe, noted that it wasn't just the elements they had to fear, but also their own shipmates, as paranoia and violence simmered just beneath the surface. And this wasn't a one-off event either. Throughout the 20th century, similar incidents occurred as other explorers ventured into the Antarctic abyss. Even modern amenities and digital communication can't completely stave off the madness lurking in the corridors of Antarctic research stations today. Take the case of Sidney Jeffries, a wireless radio operator on Douglas Mawson's Australasian Antarctic expedition. This journey took place between 1911 and 1914. After months in a hut on Cape Denison, the so-called windiest place on Earth, Jeffries had a mental breakdown. He had somehow convinced himself that his companions wanted to kill him. He even sent secret radio communications, claiming that his colleagues had gone mad. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? And it doesn't even stop there. In 2018, at Russia's Bellingshausen station, an engineer named Sergei Savitsky stabbed a colleague. Apparently, Savitsky did this because his colleague kept spoiling the endings of all the books he was reading. I mean, talk about a plot twist. So what's the deal with Antarctica and madness? Experts suggest that it's a mix of environmental factors like the cold and dark, and psychosocial factors such as isolation and monotony. It seems like the continent's extreme conditions can push even the most seasoned explorers to the brink of insanity. This happens so often that there's even a phrase people use to describe this condition: polar madness. In short, if you're planning a trip to Antarctica, pack your best winter coat and maybe a straitjacket. Or, reconsider. You never know what kind of madness might await in the land of ice and isolation. The Wilkes Land Gravity Anomaly. 66 million years ago, a massive asteroid named Chicxulub smashed into what is now Mexico, creating a crater over 93 miles wide. This asteroid is famous for wiping out the dinosaurs. But what if there's an even bigger mystery lurking under the ice of Antarctica? Listen to this and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I love to hear from my viewers. Now let's fast forward to 2006 when NASA's Grace mission satellites detected something astonishing in Antarctica's Wilkes land. They found gravitational changes that hinted at a colossal object buried beneath 2,625 feet of ice. This discovery, known as the Wilkes Land Gravity Anomaly, suggests that there's a massive impact crater over 3 times as big as the one in Mexico. It's about 300 miles wide. To put that into perspective, you could fit the entire state of Ohio in it. So what's the deal with this giant crater? Could it be another asteroid? Scientists believe it might be linked to an even older extinction event, the Permian-Triassic extinction about 250 million years ago. This event was devastating, wiping out 90% of marine life and 75% of terrestrial life. This makes the asteroid that caused the Wilkes Land Gravity Anomaly potentially even more catastrophic than the one that killed the dinosaurs. But that's not all. Some scientists speculate that this ancient impact might have contributed to the breakup of the supercontinent Gondwana land. Eventually, it would have led to the separation of Australia from Antarctica. Imagine an asteroid powerful enough to reshape continents. Of course, with any great mystery, you can bet conspiracy theorists and UFO enthusiasts are having a field day. Some claim that the object under the ice is a giant UFO, a secret city, or even a portal to the mythical Hollow Earth. While these theories are fun to discuss, we'll need solid scientific evidence to back them up. So what's really hiding under the ice of Wilkes Land? Is it an ancient asteroid that caused the greatest extinction event ever? Did it really play a role in breaking up Gondwana land? Or is it something even more mysterious? Sadly, we don't have all the answers yet. But one thing's for sure, Antarctica isn't just a frozen wasteland. It's a land of secrets waiting to be uncovered. In the future, maybe we'll find out if there's more to this story than meets the eye. But until then, let's keep our imaginations wild and our eyes on the ice. Organism 46b, the Vostok monster. Deep beneath the icy surface of Antarctica, there's a hidden lake called Lake Vostok. Now, what if I told you that there's a monstrous creature lurking in its depths? Let me introduce you to Organism 46b, a legendary squid-like beast with a fascinating story. The legend of Organism 46b first surfaced in 2012, thanks to a chilling narrative by author C. Michael Forsyth. According to his story, a Russian expedition to Lake Vostok uncovered a terrifying 14-tentacled monster capable of paralyzing its prey with a potent toxin. Forsyth's tale was presented as a factual account. It spread rapidly, exciting people and causing a lot of speculation as to what really happened. Adding to the mystery was the account of a supposed scientist named Anton Padalka. Padalka claimed to have encountered Organism 46b during the expedition. He described the creature so cunning and deadly that it seemed almost otherworldly. According to Padalka, this beast could mimic its surroundings, making it nearly invisible until it was too late. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The deeper you dive into the details, the murkier they become. Is there really a monstrous squid lurking in the icy depths of Lake Vostok? Well, as it turns out, the story of Organism 46b is more fiction than fact. Despite the gripping tale, there's no scientific evidence to support the existence of the Vostok monster. The supposed encounters and chilling descriptions are part of a well-crafted fictional narrative. While Lake Vostok itself is very real, with its unique ecosystem isolated under 2.5 miles of ice, the monstrous squid remains a figment of the imagination. However, Lake Vostok does harbor life. In this extreme environment with high pressure and temperatures around 28 degrees Fahrenheit, scientists have discovered single-celled organisms like microbes and bacteria. These tiny life forms have adapted to the harsh conditions, showcasing the incredible resilience of life on Earth. But the environment simply cannot support a creature as large and complex as the fictional Organism 46b. So why are we so captivated by tales like this? Cryptids like the Vostok monster tap into our deep-seated fascination with the unknown. They represent the thrill of discovery and the mysteries that lie just beyond our reach. The true wonder of Lake Vostok lies in its potential for scientific discovery. Studying this isolated ecosystem allows scientists to understand how life can thrive in extreme conditions. Who knows what secrets this hidden lake might reveal? Perhaps clues about the origins of life on Earth, or even insights into the possibility of life on other planets. The Falkland Islands wolf. When Charles Darwin sailed the world on the HMS Beagle, he stumbled upon a creature that shouldn't exist. He reached the Falkland Islands near Antarctica and discovered a large wolf-like fox that lived nowhere else on Earth. Darwin was so intrigued by the animal that he wrote about it in his travel memoir, The Voyage of the Beagle. He noted how strange it was for such a small, isolated piece of land to have its own unique, large predator. So what happened to this mysterious Falklands wolf? Sadly, just as Darwin predicted, it went extinct in 1876. Human settlers hunted it for its fur and to protect their sheep, pushing the species to extinction. But the big questions remain. Where did this wolf come from, and how did it end up on the Falklands, 300 miles from mainland South America? To unravel this mystery, scientists turned to DNA from 4 museum specimens of the Falklands wolf, including one collected by Darwin himself. They compared this DNA with other mammals of the dog family, like South American foxes, the maned wolf, and even grey wolves and coyotes. By doing this, they created a family tree showing how the Falklands wolf was related to these other species. The results were surprising. The DNA showed that the Falklands wolf split from its closest relatives about 70,000 years ago during the last ice age. This was long before humans were in the area, ruling out the idea that Native Americans brought the wolves to the islands. So how did they get there? Scientists think the wolves might have floated on ice or logs, the mystery of the Jenny and Kaz II. Have you ever heard of the ghost ship called the Jenny? According to legend, this tale of mystery begins with a schooner, a tall ship with multiple masts, vanishing in 1823. Nearly 2 decades later, in 1840, the Jenny was discovered in the icy Drake Passage between Chile and Antarctica, frozen solid in an ice barrier. Isn't that creepy? The most haunting detail? Well, it was the last logbook entry. It said, May 4th, 1823. No food for 71 days. I am the only one left alive. When the whaling ship Hope found the Jenny, they discovered its captain still at his desk, pen in hand, frozen in time. The crew of the Hope initially mistook the Jenny for a manned, albeit battered vessel, but as they approached, they realized the men they saw were frozen solid, standing at attention on the main deck. Captain Brighton of the Hope led the investigation, finding every crew member frozen in place. Some accounts say the bodies were buried at sea, others claim they were left undisturbed. Either way, the icy fate of the Jenny's crew remains a chilling mystery. Now let's fast forward to 2007 and the mystery of the Kaz II, also known as the Ghost Yacht. This 32-foot catamaran was found drifting off the coast of Australia with no crew in sight. The 3-man crew, Derek Batten and brothers James and Peter Dunstead, set sail from Arley Beach, but 5 days later, a helicopter spotted the boat aimlessly floating in the Great Barrier Reef. When authorities boarded Kaz II, they found everything in perfect order, except for the missing crew. The engine was running, a laptop was on, and dinner was set. Even the life jackets were untouched. A videotape showed the men enjoying their day, completely unaware of the impending doom. So, what happened? Despite extensive searches, the crew was never found. Theories abound, but the most accepted scenario is that one man fell overboard while freeing a fishing lure, and the others perished trying to rescue him. The boat's sails, the wind, and the choppy seas must have created a perfect storm of misfortune. The Bouvet Island Lifeboat Mystery. Next up, we're traveling to the most isolated, icy, and uninhabited place on Earth. No, it's not Antarctica, though it's pretty close. We're talking about Bouvet Island. It's a speck of land that's nearly covered in glaciers, nestled between Africa and the world's coldest continent. Sheer icy cliffs conceal an active volcano on the island. Sounds like the perfect holiday destination, right? Not exactly. It's more like the last place you'd want to find yourself shipwrecked. So riddle me this. How on earth did an abandoned lifeboat end up on Bouvet Island? On April 2, 1964, the Royal Navy's HMS Protector sailed toward this remote and frigid island, ready to investigate a new patch of land created by a lava flow. Lieutenant Commander Alan Crawford and his team arrived via helicopter. This was because landing a boat here is like trying to park a car on a roller coaster, and as Crawford surveyed the landscape, he spotted something bizarre, a lifeboat just sitting there all alone. Now, this wasn't your average lifeboat. It had no motor, no sails, and no markings to indicate where it came from. The oars were on shore alongside a flattened copper tank and a barrel. There were no signs of people, no footprints, no campsites, no help spelled out in rocks. It was as if the boat had just dropped out of the sky. Crawford was baffled, to say the least. And when another expedition returned to the island 2 years later, the lifeboat was gone. It had vanished without a trace. So where did it go? Did it sink into the lagoon? Did someone somehow retrieve it? Or did it simply decide it had enough of the cold and float off into the sunset? To add to the mystery, no one ever claimed the lifeboat. There were no reports of missing vessels or shipwrecks. It was like a ghost boat with no origin and no crew. But thanks to the internet, anyone with Wi-Fi can attempt to solve these mysteries. And one of these internet sleuths thinks they might have cracked the case. A Reddit user named Qualis Libet unearthed a Soviet report from 1960. According to the report, a scientific reconnaissance vessel named Slava 9 visited Bouvet Island in November 1958. 10 sailors landed on the island but got stranded due to bad weather. They hunkered down for 3 days before being rescued by helicopter. They left behind a lifeboat in the same area where Crawford discovered it 6 years later. So, mystery solved, right? Well, sort of. We know the boat's origin now, but the eerie feeling about it remains. Bouvet Island, with its icy cliffs and hidden volcanoes, still seems like a place where mysteries are born. Even though the lifeboat story has a logical ending, the island itself remains an intriguing puzzle. The disappearance of Carl Robert Disch. In 1965, Carl Robert Disch, an atmospheric meteorologist working for the National Bureau of Standards, vanished into the icy wilderness of Antarctica, and in doing so, he left behind a mystery that still puzzles people to this day. So what happened to Carl Disch? He was stationed at Bird Station, a series of buildings connected by hand lines to help people navigate the harsh environment. On the night of May 8, 1965, Disch set out from the radio noise building less than a mile from the main headquarters. Usually this journey took only a few minutes, but when 45 minutes passed and Disch hadn't returned, his colleagues grew worried and started a search. They found only one clue, a set of footprints leading away from the safety of the hand lines, heading west into the icy wild. But oddly enough, these weren't the unsure steps of someone lost. They were steady and deliberate. So what could have made Disch leave the path he knew so well? Was he looking for adventure, or was something else at play? The search for Disch was thorough, but it turned up nothing. For over 50 years, his disappearance has remained a mystery. Naturally, this has led to various theories, from the plausible to the downright bizarre. Some believe he was lost to the brutal cold, though it's strange that he left the safety of the known path. One of the more intriguing theories involves extraterrestrials. In the days surrounding his disappearance, there were reports of strange lights near Bird Station. Could Disch have seen these lights and decided to investigate, only to be taken by something otherworldly? Years later, a weather station received a message from someone claiming to be Carl Disch, saying he had grown tired of his colleagues and wandered off on purpose. The message even mentioned his missing dog. But surviving in Antarctica alone for years, that's a stretch, and most consider it a hoax. So what really happened to Carl Robert Disch? Did he wander off into the icy wilderness, fall victim to an alien abduction, or something else entirely? The mystery of his disappearance continues to captivate and baffle those who hear his story. What do you think happened? Let me know in the comments below. Icy fingers of death. There's a frozen world beneath Antarctica where icy fingers of death reach down toward the ocean floor. These are called brinicles, and they might look like stalactites in caves, but they're much more dangerous. Anything that gets in their way is instantly frozen alive. So what exactly are brinicles? When sea ice forms, it squeezes out the salt, creating super salty pockets of brine. This brine eventually leaks out and sinks because it's heavier and colder than the surrounding water. And as it descends, it pulls a freezing shroud around itself, forming a brinicle. And if there's enough brine and no strong currents to disrupt it, a brinicle can reach the seafloor and continue its icy creep, freezing everything in its path. Imagine being a bottom-feeding critter down there. One wrong move and you're an ice sculpture. The 2011 BBC series Frozen Planet captured this phenomenon in stunning detail. Watching a brinacle form is like witnessing an ice wizard casting a spell. It's mesmerizing but deadly. While they look like icy stalactites, scientists have found they're more like hydrothermal vents. In fact, a 2013 study suggested that brinicles are inverse chemical gardens, sharing similarities with mud volcanoes and hydrothermal vents. Now here's where it gets even more fascinating. Some scientists think hydrothermal vents may have been crucial for the beginnings of life on Earth. So could brinicles have played a similar role? Could they even help us understand life on distant worlds? For example, Jupiter's moon Ganymede might have an ice-covered ocean. So what role could brinicles have there? Though studying brinicles is tricky because they need perfect conditions to form, they offer a glimpse into the mysterious processes of our planet and beyond. These so-called fingers of death are a reminder of the incredible and sometimes eerie wonders that lie beneath the Antarctic ice. Thanks for watching. Which one of these mysteries do you think the world will solve first? Let me know in the comments and remember to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.